The UFC is going to Baku, Azerbaijan, and today I'm going to be breaking down the card and going over my predictions. Looking at this card, man, there's just some wide lines, man. All of them I feel like are wide. I don't know what's going on, but it's been like this recently, man. But man, looking at some of these lines, I'm just distraught. Like, they should be the favorite, but they shouldn't be as high as a favorite. You know what I mean? So trying to find some good value on this card. Might be looking at a lot of underdogs this weekend in terms of betting, but I'll let you know how about that. And anyways, man, let's hop right into this breakdown where the first fight up is Hamdy Abdelwahab versus Mohammed Usman. Hamdy is minus 161 favorite here, and came off that layoff. Took on Jamal Pogues and looked horrible. Looked like shit, right? I think he maybe won one round in that fight. And if Jamal Pogues was not Jamal Pogues and he actually threw strikes, he probably would have won easily, convincingly. And I thought Pogues won, without what I said, where he needed to throw more strikes. I thought he won anyways. But bad performance from Hamdy. I mean, he looked like shit. He got on and said he was a little bit nervous and this and that, and man, he looked like shit. But when it comes to his skill set, he's got some form of wrestling background where he wrestled in the Olympics. I think he got like 5th place, and you can see that in some of his game. But I don't think he goes to it enough, right? Like, his takedowns are great, especially if he's able to get you in that clinch. His trips are excellent. They're clean, they're fluid, top pressure's good. But he doesn't do it enough, you know what I mean? Because if you put these big guys on their back, man, damn, it's hard for them to get up. It really is, And I think he should implement more of that into his game. Even guys like Mohammed Usman, who is a wrestler, Hamdy can probably take him down, because these aren't double legs, these aren't single legs. While he can shoot those, it's really when he gets to that clinch and he's able to get those trips going is where he excels. And they're very hard to defend. And like I said, these big guys struggle to defend those. Hamdy's striking's not bad. It's just like he goes away from what works, and he doesn't throw enough volume. His cardio sucks. His technique is pretty good. Good left hook, good right hand, powerful hands. And he's a solid athlete. Now on the other side, Mohammed Usman, not good, man, not good. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. Granted, Mick Parkin, Thomas Peterson are guys that I think are pretty solid for heavyweight. But man, Mo, he's a wrestler, I guess. He's strong, but he's not good, man. He's really bad. Like, he's got an okay jab. He's got some decent footwork, but he got like really outstruck by Thomas Peterson, like really badly. Like, Thomas Peterson was doing whatever he wanted to him, essentially, on the feet. If Mohammed Usman lands clean, sure, he can put you out. But, I mean, man, it's just a tough fight to call. Both these guys aren't very good. I'm going to trust Hamdy here, man. I've seen some deficiencies in Mohammed Usman's leg kick defense against Mick Parkin. Didn't check any of them. And even in other fights, Parker Porter, I remember, didn't check any of them. Hamdy Abdelwahab actually can leg kick. I'm just not sure if he is going to throw enough to actually score because he doesn't throw all that often. I like the wrestling upside for Hamdy. I don't think his cardio is as good as Usman's, but I think he's the better fighter. I expect a close fight here to go to a decision. I'm going to go with Hamdy, 29-28 decision. Man, this is just a brutal fight to pick. We'll move on to the next one. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Azat Maksum. I almost forgot about Azat Maksum. He hasn't fought in forever. He's a big underdog here. I like his striking, though. Azat Maksum's striking is kind of fun to watch. He'll put nice combinations together, good straight shots. He'll switch stances often. I do like his boxing, but there's just a different type of level with Tagir. Now, Tagir is a guy who could really be undefeated in the UFC. Lost to Tim Elliott, who cheated the whole entire time. But Tagir, inactive, struggles to make weight. I don't even know if he'll show up for this fight. But he's coming off a win versus Clayton Carpenter, who I think is very good. Not very good, but pretty solid, right? There's just levels to this wrestling stuff, right? You got guys on the wrestling level like Cody Durden, Clayton Carpenter, and then there's Tagir, right? I think that Tagir is much higher level than Azat Maksum. Maksum does the right things on his takedown defense, but I just don't think he's good enough, right? If he's able to put Tagir on his back, Tagir is going to sweep him, reverse him. like he always does. And Tagir's entries are quick. He's got great variety on his takedowns. It's just one of those guys that is a better wrestler, right? You know, there's grapplers in the flyweight division like a Mosayev who's just not as good as Tagir, right? I think Tagir is in this type of, right, all the way up there. Guys like Musayev, Tyra, Pantoja. I believe that Tagir Ulanbekov is one of those kind of grapplers. So, yeah, man, to me, I think he just out-scrambles Maksum. I don't think it's lasting on the feet long enough for Maksum to really get his striking going. And if it's on the feet, you know, I don't think Tagir's fish out of water, right? He can, you know, strike pretty decently. But yeah, man, I just expect Tagir to get the better of the wrestling of Maksum. You know, Maksum got wrestled by Charles Johnson, who's not even close to Tagir's level. So for me, I think that Tagir is one of those kind of wrestlers that's one of the top 3 in the division. So I do think that Tagir is going to get the win here, out-scramble and spend time on top position, potentially get a submission. But I do think that Maksum is being a little bit overlooked in the takedown defense because, you know, to give him some credit, it was at the end of the fight versus Charles Johnson, high-paced fight. So once again, like, minus 450, it's still a little wide for me personally, just because I do think that Maksum is not some like scrub shit can, right? You know, but I do expect Tagir to win 29-28 or 30-27, and we'll move on to the next fight. Disclaimer: these women's fights, man, I'm not doing it this week. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. You know, if you're looking forward to it. We're just going to pick the favorite in the favor here and make it quick. We got Melissa. Let me just make sure. I actually know Melissa Mullins. Let's go with Irina and Melissa Mullins. I'm not even going to, you know, we'll just pick those. I actually think Melissa Mullins is actually okay. But anyways, man, solid matchup here. Naurdiev versus Junyong Park. And originally looking at this, I was on the Ismail Naurdiev side, where he's actually a slight underdog, plus 155. I think both these guys, when you look at kind of what they do, they're very similar. You know, Ismail Naurdiev is going to look to leg kick, jab, straight shots, just like a Junyong Park is able to do. And Naurdiev also likes to mix in his wrestling. I know he's got a wrestling background. He's been submitted a couple times, been knocked out a couple times. Man, it's a good fight on paper. I like the matchup a lot. I think it's going to be an exciting one. On the other end, Park, coming off a win versus Brad Tavares, I picked him there. You know, and then he lost to Andre Muniz, where a lot of people thought he won that fight, including myself. And it was kind of a shame for me to see Junyong Park get controlled by Muniz like that and not be able to beat him. You know, Naurdiev is a guy who's probably going to mix in the wrestling here. I don't think it's as high of level as Muniz. Muniz is also stronger and bigger than this guy as well. And if it gets to the ground, I think the submission threat of Park is much better than Naurdiev's, right? I think that Park has guillotines, great rear naked choke. And on the feet, it's going to be interesting because I do believe that Naurdiev will be looking good early on, but as that pressure of Park gets to him, I think that Park will win the later rounds. You know, another close fight, like I said, man, there's just close fights all over the place, in my opinion, this weekend. I can't see this fight being one-sided, right? I definitely think that we're going to see someone win a round here at least and go to a decision. But I like the forward pressure of Park. I like the jab. I like the orthodox matchup for him. I don't think that Park's a guy who likes being in that southpaw stance, and I think that the orthodox matchup with Naurdiev, who doesn't switch stances, is going to be good. Naurdiev also has been, finished by leg kicks, and I don't know what that was. He didn't even get hit by that many. It was very weird. Park has great leg kicks. Naurdiev has great leg kicks. These guys are very similar to me, but I think the better cardio, the better competition is going to be Park. I know he's a little bit older here, but Naurdiev, man, I'm not sure his debut can show me a ton, right? Bruno Silva looked fucking terrible. Like, it was so bad. I can't even give Naurdiev credit, you know what I mean? I want to give him credit because I picked him, but man, Silva looked so shit. Like, it was ridiculous. But anyways, Park will be my pick. Another close one, 29-28 decision, or potentially a submission. Potentially, we'll see, but I'm going to go with Junyong, the Iron Turtle Park, to win this one. by decision. The next one, man, this is wide, bro. This is wide. Like, you're never, ever going to sit in front of me and tell me that Oban Elliott is minus 515 versus anyone. I don't give a damn if it's like a regional amateur guy. Like, bro, I can't ever see him being like that. Okay? I don't care about, he's whatever, 2 or 3-0 in the UFC. These are good matchups for him. This isn't really a stylistic matchup that Oban Elliott is going to thrive in, right? He might be the better striker, but it's the more power is going to coming from Ko. Ko, my issues with Ko, I'll get it out of the way, is goddamn. I mean, the guy hasn't fought like his regional fights. I mean, my goodness, man, this guy's fighting awful cans, like 45-year-olds. Like, this guy, he ain't fought anybody good. Now, what I can take away from those fights is that he has some power and he does have some nice countering ability. And in his fight versus Igor Cavalcanti in the Contender Series, did some good things, slipped and ripped and showed some good striking, showed off his wrestling as well. So the reason I say it's not just a matchup, a good stylistic matchup for Ko or for Elliott is he's probably not going to be able to take Ko down consistently. I just don't see that. And while it's on the feet, I think Oban might be better with the kicks and with the kicks and with the jab. But the guy who hits harder is going to be Ko, right? By a lot. And we've seen Oban Elliott hurt by Woodburn, hurt by the guy in the Contender Series fight. His striking defense, Elliott's, is not great. I'm not sold on him, and I'm never going to be sold on him to take him at +5 or minus 515. I mean, guys, I just stay away from this. If the line gets more out of hand, you're going to see me put money on Ko because I like Ko's wrestling and grappling, and I think it's good enough to defend Oban Elliott's takedowns. And on the feet, I do think that Ko is pretty solid, and could give Elliott some problems, So for me, man, it's just an automatic stay away. This is a ridiculous line. I mean, it's absurd how much respect they're giving Oban Elliott. He's not some fighter that will look minus 515, and that's the whole problem here is, do I expect Oban Elliott to look minus 515? And minus 515 is going out there and getting a knockout or finishing inside of a minute and a half, or a round and a half, and not having slip-ups, not like you're dominating the fight. And I don't think I'm going to see that from him. So for me, it's an automatic stay away. If the number gets out of hand for Ko, you're going to see me put money on him. But this is one of the fights that I'm going to be talking about that's just way too wide. Like, ridiculous, man. I'm going to go with Oban Elliott because overall, I do think he's the guy who's going to have more volume. But, man, I can't. Minus 515. I think Oban Elliott should be maybe minus 200, even if that, like, maybe, right? But that's just how I would line it. But anyways, man, let's move on to the next one. Mohammed Naimov, Bodgan, Grad. This is a really fun, exciting matchup here. Where is this? I'm sorry. Mohammed Naimov is minus 240. And I think that this line is more correct. And I know that people are going to be on Bodgan, Grad. I understand it. But Naimov is, in my eyes, is extremely good. I think he's an excellent fighter. He's got great takedown defense. He's got solid hands, great low kicks, excellent low kicks, great kicks in general, and he's got more power than Grad for sure. If he's able to find a counter shot, I expect him to put Bodgan Grad out. Grad, good cardio, good pace, but man, you get hit a lot. You know what I mean? Naimov is strong. I expect him to, defend the takedowns from Grad. I can understand why people would think Grad could be a solid underdog, and I do believe that I understand that, that point of view because Grad fights hard. He'll fight for your money. So, and his skills aren't bad. He's got solid boxing, good power, I guess, in his hands, but man, he's open. He's there to be hit. And Naimov actually can crack, dropped Nathaniel Wood, knocked out Jamie Malarkey, which isn't going to say a ton. But I like Naimov quite a bit. I do think he's an excellent fighter. And I think he's a good amount, levels above Bodgan Grad. I want to say that I think the line's right, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think the line's completely right. I do think that Grad should get a little bit more respect here. We'll see what the line does. if it gets to minus 200, there's a good chance I might parlay Naimov up. But I think this is going to be a fun fight for sure. But once again, my problem with Grad, he doesn't check kicks well. He's very hittable as well. So, he'll fight hard, but man, you're in front of a guy who's pretty solid in Mohammed Naimov. 3-1 in the UFC, a win over Nathaniel Wood, who's a very good fighter. So Naimov, to me, is the right side. I'm not a huge Bodgan Grad guy. I picked Lucas Alexander to beat him, and Lucas Alexander was out grappling him, which is bad, until Alexander gassed out. So Grad can push a pace, but he's not that good of a fighter, in my opinion. The 15-2 record shines out. Awesome, but not that good. I don't even think he should be in the UFC right now. I really thought he lost to Michael Aswell. But anyways, man, give me Naimov here. I think Naimov wins it. I think he finishes the fight. I think he knocks him out. I think he knocks Bodgan Grad out. So I'm going to go with Mohammed Naimov, and we'll move on to the next one. The other one I'm talking about, line is too fucking wide, guys. Just no. I like Nazim Sadykhov, okay? I picked him last time out to beat Ismail Bonfim. Has there ever been a moment inside the UFC where Nazim Sadykhov has looked minus 440? Where he has been out there dominating the fight, finishing the guy in the first round. He looked good in his Contender Series fight versus Hassan Zada, but Motta's way better than that. Not way better, but he is better. This is not a guy who's ever looked minus 440 in the octagon. Did he look good? Did he look good versus Evan Elder? Hurt him early on, but was down 2 rounds in that fight. Did he look good versus Slavaklaus? Had one big moment in that fight, got himself a 10-8, but lost the first and the third round. Who else has he fought? Bonfim didn't look that great in that fight either, right? Was getting pieced up, tuned up. You're giving me a guy like Motta who, coming off a win, he's got power in his hands. I think the issue for me with Motta is going to be the volume later on into the fight. Is he going to be able to keep up with the volume of Sadykhov and the pace of the fight? But man, Nazim Sadykhov is damn hittable. He's not a guy who's popping in and out, right? Jabbing at range. He's hittable as fuck. He has this weird little defense where he'll roll. Awesome. But man, this guy, if you extend combinations, don't worry about the counter. It's nothing there. I'm just not thinking that Nazim Sadykhov is a minus 440 fighter, man, because he hasn't shown me. McKinney didn't look minus 440 there either. Man, I have some problems with this line. Motta's coming off a win. He's got decent low kicks, big power in his hands. His boxing's actually better than Sadykhov's, in my opinion. I think his technique is better. Motta has been KO'd, finished a couple times. Man, I'm telling you, bro, if this line gets out of hand, I'm going to bet on Motta. There's just lines on this card where I'm just not seeing these fighters be that big of a favorite. Oban Elliott, not a good... he's good, but he's not minus 500, bro. Sadykhov, no, he's not a minus 400 fighter. No, not a chance. So I would just be careful of these guys, man. I'm be honest with you. I think out of all these big favorites, I think the best one's probably Tagir, and I'm still not a huge, Tagir's easily going to win, right? I don't think that. But I can't help but think, Motta's going to have moments in this fight where he's competing, and I think he'll win the first round. And it's just because of what I've seen from Nazim. The Longo guys talk about him like he's Thanos, but he hasn't shown me all that much, man, really. So, got to be honest, this line is ridiculous, man. So, I'm going to go with Sadykhov because, like I said before, he's durable. He can, eat a lot of shots. And the pace of the fight, I do think that Motta's going to have some gas tank issues like he has in the past. But I'm not confident whatsoever. There's a good chance I'll bet on Motta. We'll see. But anyways, let's move on. Tofiq Musayev versus Myktybek Orolbai. I nailed the Myktybek Orolbai fight last time out. I went ahead and picked... why am I forgetting? Rebecki. I picked Rebecki, bet on Rebecki. That line got out of hand, I'm telling you, man. It closed what was it? Myktybek was minus 340. Myktybek's minus 175. I've watched a little bit of Tofiq Musayev. I'm worried about the layoff here. That's the biggest problem for me. Man, he's been out for a year and 7 months, I believe, which is a long time, especially if you're 35. What are you doing? Musayev is tough. He's durable. his athleticism is going to be broader here. I think that I don't want to say much better. I think he's quite a bit of better athlete here. I like his striking, in and out striking, very fast, powerful, dangerous. And on the other hand, Myktybek, man, I'm not, obviously I picked Rebecca. I'm not huge on him. I don't think this is a matchup where he thrives. He could do his best to make it boring, shoot a lot of takedowns, and just try to get this fight to the mat, push him in the clinch, push the pace here. I think that's his best shot. But, man, if Myktybek Orolbai's backing up, man, if he's not controlling the octagon on the front foot, and I talked about this with the Rebecca fight, he's not great. It's exactly what I mentioned. Rebecca's not going to let this guy control the octagon and fight at that pace. You see Myktybek fight against Elvis Brenner, where he's right up on the front foot, pressing Elvis Brenner on the cage, who Elvis Brenner's, cement-footed, feet are stuck in cement, can't move, because he's just, I don't know what he's doing, just eating shots, right? So Myktybek looks good. He got swept a couple times in that fight, gassed out a little bit in that fight. Obviously showed some crazy heart against Rebecca. But honestly, guys, I thought Rebecca won 30-27. Looking back at that fight, Rebecca got hit with a headbutt, opened up a huge cut. I don't know how the hell it almost got scored for Orolbai. It would have been one of the worst robberies ever. One judge, I don't know how. I don't know. Because the third round was not close. You know what I mean? It wasn't very close at all. It was more close to being a 10-8 than a 10-9 Orolbai. No. So I'm not a big Orolbai fan, man. I'm not big on his game. He doesn't move his head. His footwork's shit. His striking arsenal is a 1-2 and left hook. He kicks a little bit. He's not a good striker whatsoever. I don't think he can compete in the striking. It's an interesting fight to pick because, if Musayev struggles to find Orolbai and hit him, which I don't think he'll have a hard time of, you can see, Musayev maybe getting taken down or getting held in the clinch. His takedown defense looks solid to me, man. This is just not a good matchup for Orolbai. I'm going to go with Musayev here. I'll probably stay away from it betting-wise. Just because I've watched Musayev, I have to, but I don't know much about him other than that. So I'm going to go with Musayev here just because I'm not a huge Orolbai guy. I really don't believe in him that much. I know he's younger. I know he's, solid wrestling, whatever it is. But I don't like his head movement, and I don't like his striking at all. I think his striking sucks, to be honest. But anyways, let's move on to the next one. Curtis Blaydes versus Rizvan Kuniev. I'm sick of seeing this fight. I've had to pick it 5 fucking times. I don't know what we're doing here. I'm not big on Curtis Blaydes, man. I've been very, vocal about my feelings about Curtis Blaydes. I don't think he's a good fighter. I think he's extremely overrated. But the advantages he has in this matchup is his cardio probably. But I don't really see any other advantages. Is he going to take Kuniev down? Probably not. Kuniev's got a disgusting clinch game, man. He can hold you in the clinch and beat you up there, and he's strong from that position as well. And Blaydes, I don't think he's a great striker either. He's got a nice 1-2, some decent power, but that's it, man. Curtis Blaydes, his wrestling, if that's neutralized, he's not good. You know what I mean? I don't think Blaydes will be able to take Kuniev down whatsoever, and Kuniev actually has some pop on the feet, never been finished. I can't pick Curtis Blaydes. I'm not doing it. I'm going to go with Rizvan Kuniev here. I didn't think he looked great in his last one, and I'm just not a Blaydes believer, man. I don't know what else to say about it. Not a Blaydes believer whatsoever. Durability concerns. Yeah, he's been knocked out by, big, powerful guys. But who has he beaten in the last 3 years that has really been damn, Curtis Blaydes is a fucking problem? Dawkins? Really? The Almeida win was just bullshit, right? I mean, I don't want to say that. Let me not say that. The Almeida win, little bit of a fluke. Taken down, dominated in the first, randomly lands this little uppercut that hurts Almeida and finishes the fight. He was not looking good in that fight. And I don't think that Kuniev is going to shoot a double leg like that, but, I'm just not I'm not a Curtis believer, man. I really don't like his game. I think his striking is mediocre, and if he can't wrestle, he's kind of shit on the feet. So I'm going to go with Kuniev here. I could look like an idiot or I could look good. But I don't know, man. It's just a weird one to go, a weird fight. I'm sick of seeing it, honestly. That's why I don't even want to fucking pick it. Because it's booked, canceled, booked. I'm sick of seeing it. I'm going to go with Kuniev. I don't care who wins this fight. But anyways, man, let's move on. Co-main event, great fight here. Great matchup. You guys know I picked Jalen Turner to beat Ignacio Bahamondes last time out. Regretted it. Bet on Turner. I'm still not. I just don't know if I'm on the Bahamondes train yet. Okay, I don't know. I don't think I am. All right, man. Plus 110 on Fiziev. Come on, man. How could you pass that up? Right? Bahamondes has excellent volume. But man, he's hittable, man. You know what I mean? He's damn hittable. Christos Siagos was able to get a couple great shots off on him. Manuel Torres was hitting him. Turner was even hitting him early on into that fight. And let's not act like, Bahamondes felt uncomfortable on the feet against Turner because he shot a takedown and pulled guard. So if that fight was just strictly on the feet, it wasn't looking great for Bahamondes. Now, Bahamondes, tough, durable, great cardio. And I think he might have some success later on into the fight. But, man, you're giving me Fiziev dog money, where I know he didn't look great in his last one. He didn't look great on it. It kind of shocked me how bad. And I don't think it was just how bad he looked. I just think that he was trying to manage his gas tank because he took the fight on short notice. But man, if you watch that first fight with Gaethje, man, come on. If that Fiziev shows up, he's whooping Bahamondes' ass. He's whooping his ass. When people are able to get inside of the pocket of Bahamondes, you saw Ludovic Klein do it. He's hittable, Bahamondes is. He's hittable, and he's, not great inside the pocket. And he's not going to just overextend like Manuel Torres, right? Fiziev's an excellent striker, very technical. He'll do good work here. I think that Fiziev plus 110 is just something I can't pass, man. Just no way. Especially against a guy like Bahamondes, who has shown he struggles with short, explosive fighters. Like a Ludovic Klein. So I do believe that Fiziev, and I know people are going to say, oh, but Klein took him down. He was whooping his ass on the feet, Klein was. So I like Bahamondes' game, but I'm still not 100% sure I'm on the train, and I think this is not a good matchup for him. Give me Fiziev. I can't pass plus money on Fiziev, especially not in this matchup. So I'm going to take Rafael Fiziev by decision. I also love this fight to go to the distance. I don't think there's a finish here. I know the over 2.5 is like minus 160. Love it. I love that. I'll probably be playing that this weekend for sure. I really do like that line. But anyways, man, Fiziev decision will be my pick. Move on to the main. Now, it's a close fight here. And I really had a fun time breaking down this fight. I think I did a really good job, and I'm gonna go over what I think on this fight. Now, Hill is a guy who's coming off 2 KOs. Struggle with a lot of injuries, man. Really, it's sad. Sad to see, because this guy, after he beat Glover, man, I was really thinking he was gonna be a tough out. You know what I mean? Tough as hell. Excellent volume. Powerful hands, and it's really the pace and the volume that this guy can throw with. When you take a look at these significant strikes landed per minute, it's excellent. 7.5. I mean, this guy can go all damn day. The accuracy is very good, right? And absorb, when you look at stats wise, it's not close, right? Obviously, the big issue here is Khalil Roundtree, his ability to counter strike. So if the counters of Khalil can really hurt Jamal and really, really hurt him and make him, knock him out, essentially, then I think that's how Roundtree wins. But if this fight extends, man, I've always been a hater on Khalil Roundtree. I don't think he's good. And the fact that he's gotten to wear these gold gloves is a shame to the UFC promotion. I don't care that he competed well versus Pereira. He didn't deserve the fucking opportunity to go in there. And sure, did okay, won the first, but honestly, if, Pereira didn't mess up and make that stupid, just brain-dead mistake in the second, Pereira would have won every round after that. So, Roundtree, I'm not a believer in his skill set. This guy, if he's put on the back foot, he sucks. He really sucks, and his win over Jacoby's not a win, right? He lost that fight. But I'm really, the worst thing about Khalil Rountree, and I think it's the worst, like, I don't see a lot of people talking about, is the gas tank. He cannot hang in there for 4 rounds. He's explosive. He's not a guy who can go long, and especially not a guy who can go long with the volume that Jamahal Hill provides in this matchup. So for me, it's a very easy read here. Rountree starts to look good in this fight early on. Then you go and slam that Hill live money line, because Rountree's gas tank sucks. It sucks, And another thing is, some people will say, oh, he didn't gas out that badly against Pereira in that fight. Sure, whatever. And I'll give you that. He looked a little bit better with the gas tank in that one, but Pereira was constantly retreating and not countering Khalil and not staying in the pocket. Hill will stay there. He's not going to, back up consistently, like Alex Pereira. Hill will stay in the pocket and he'll throw, which will cause more fatigue from Khalil Rountree. It's a relatively easy fight for me to see. I'm just worried about Hill's injuries and the constant pulling out, the Achilles injury. But let's not forget, Hill is actually a solid fighter. He's very good if he can get his game going. And it's that pressure. It's that constant volume, switching stances. I like the southpaw matchup for Jamahal Hill in this one as well. But I think Hill's got something to prove here, and I think he can beat Rountree no problem. I don't want to say no problem, because originally in my head, after I'd watched film, I was like, I think I got to go with Rountree, because when I'm trying to predict fights, I'm trying to look at everything. I'm trying to look at social media. I'm not seeing much from Hill on social media. I watched some interviews, which kind of led me back to thinking, okay, he's been training with Chidi and Jukwani and his brother, getting that Muay Thai look, trying to get right. So I'm leaning towards Hill. I understand it's a close fight. I can see it being close. But I've never been a believer in Khalil Rountree's cardio. I don't think he's at all a 5-round fighter. And the pace that Hill fights at is going to be way too much. You put Rountree in that Yuri fight, I think Rountree could have some good moments against Prohaska, but he is not going to be able to take that damage that Hill was able to take. Hill is so durable, so tough. He's not going to be able to take that damage, and he will not ever be able to fight at the pace that Hill was fighting Prohaska at. It's just not going to happen. You see the stats. He doesn't throw that much per round. He doesn't throw that much per minute. And that's just not the way that he's fighting. He needs to get the finish. And I could see him dropping Hill or having a big moment, but consistently, getting the finish in the first round against a notoriously tough guy. Hill took some big shots from Prohaska, some big ones, man. Does Rountree have the countering ability that Pereira has? Absolutely not. So Rountree needs to finish the fight early, or if Jamal's not pushing the pace, then it would suit Rountree. But if Hill's pushing, man, it's going to be tough. I just can't. I don't see Rountree as a 5-round fighter. I think he'll fall behind on the volume and potentially get finished later on into this fight. So I'm going to go with Jamahal Hill here. I'm going to go by a late finish or a decision. I'm going to go by decision. But I think this is an excellent fight. I think Rountree maybe wins 2 rounds, but after that, it's going to be Hill. You guys let me know what you think, because from my perspective, I never see Rountree as a guy with great cardio. I just don't see it. So you guys let me know whatever you saw in the film or whatever. That's going to wrap it up for me. Hopefully I can get my bets out relatively soon. We're pretty good last time. Shabazzian was the big one that came through for us. And I forgot what else we hit. The Mansour one, right? So, yeah, man, that'll wrap it up for me. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.